This is Brian with Precision Media, and the purpose of this video is to introduce you to your new sound system and the components that you're receiving from us and how to get it all set up and started. You'll be receiving 3 boxes from us via FedEx. One, the largest, is your actual sound system. Second box is your speakers, which you're getting 1 pair of. And the third is a box that has your second backup microphone system in it. First step is to open up the big box with the sound system. Next step is to get your tools out, and the first thing we're going to be doing is installing the speakers. So the tools you'll need for this are very, very basic. One is just a pair of wire strippers in whatever form you have, and a Phillips and a flathead screwdriver. Whether you use a drill or just regular screwdrivers, either will work. So the first thing we're going to do is the speakers. Assuming your electrician or general contractor is installing your system or installing your speakers, they will typically know how to do this very easily. But this is the bracket that comes with your speakers. You want to unbox both of these out of your box and get all the hardware out. And this is the mount that goes on the wall. So the way this works is with the toggle bolts that are supplied in your hardware pack. You take one of the bolts, you put it through, you thread on this little butterfly wing, and you do this to all 4 of them, and then you punch a hole in the drywall big enough for this to fit in. It slides right through, snaps out, you tighten the screw, and it sucks it right against the drywall, and that's what gives us a really hard connection to the wall, because these speakers aren't light and they need to be well supported. Now that you've got your mounts on the wall, it's time to attach the speaker to the mount. This is actually a very easy process. It's pretty neat how it works. So the first thing you want to do is get your flathead screwdriver out, or really anything will work. You're going to stick it in this little slot right here and break this tab out. Okay? This little knockout. Then you're going to turn the speaker around and the little JBL logo pops off. Inside your JBL speakers box was this long Allen wrench, which you will not want to lose, by the way. Make sure it stays in your drawer. It slides right into that hole. Okay? And this is how we tighten and loosen the mount. So I'm going to spin the speaker back around, take the mount, which is now against the wall, slide the speaker right onto the mount, and just turn this hex key, which will tighten the speaker to the mount. And it's a really, really cool system for mounting the speaker, and also allows you to articulate it or angle your speaker down if you need to. Lastly, your speaker wire, which you ran, you'll be connecting, which is also very easy. You got red and you got black, so it's very straightforward. Push down the red, slide it into the hole. Push down black, slide it in, and you're done with your speaker installation. One very important thing when your general contractor or electrician or whoever is installing your speaker wiring is to make sure that there's never a situation where black and red are touching. It's important that when they strip the wires that they have usually about a 1/4 inch at the most, 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch worth of wire, that it's tightly spun so there's not any frays sticking out, and that when it goes in, that the whole piece goes in and there's not a whole bunch of excess hanging off, because that's how short circuits happen, and we can have a lot of problem with your speakers if you don't do that right. So I'm going to push those in all the way. You'll notice that there's not really any copper hanging out below where the outer sheathing is, and that's a properly terminated speaker, so please make sure that yours are done that way. Now that you've got your speakers mounted and the wires hooked up to the speakers, it's time to hook them up to the amplifier. This is also very, very straightforward. There's your 2 wires going into each of the 2 terminals on the amplifier, red to red, black to black. The wires go in only through the top, so just loosen those screws, put the wire in, and tighten them up. And make sure there's not too much copper hanging out or any frays. Now that you've got your speakers wired, you're okay to plug in your sound system and turn it on. In the back of the sound system is a surge protector that you can just plug into your wall, and when you do that, you'll see things light up. There's 3 power switches for your system. One is right here for your amplifier, one is right here for the mixer, and one here for the Samson mic receiver. Starting at the top, all of these dials and buttons on the crown amplifier you do not want to touch. Leave them as is. This should also always say stereo bypass. If it doesn't for any reason, let us know, but that's what it should always say. Do not touch these buttons. They're already pre-configured the way they need to be. Moving down, this is your new Fit Audio mixer. It's got 2 inputs for voice and 2 inputs for music. We are only using input 1 on each side, because obviously we only have 1 mic and 1 iPod. So you'll notice there's an off on number 2 for both of these, for both the voice and the music, because it's not being used. So it might as well be turned all the way down and off, okay? The microphone, the microphone and iPod, we set at some levels that are maybe close, but you'll need to adjust them for your store. So the microphone is right here, and we usually keep it around half along with the iPod. So adjust those to suit the volume level you want. In addition, both the mic and the iPod each have their own bass and treble adjustments. So depending on if you have issues with neighbors or not with your levels, you may want to turn your bass down. We often leave the bass up initially just because it sounds better, but if you have any neighbor issues, you're going to want to adjust your bass down. And you can kind of fine tune these to your desire, but generally they should never be all the way down or all the way up. So, and then down here on the mic receiver, you'll want to put the antennas up. Here's the volume of the output of the mic, also something you don't need to touch. Leave it right where it is. It's turned up to about 90%. Also, we have a squelch knob right here. This is if you have any microphone frequency issues or interference, adjusting this knob back and forth might solve your frequency problem. So it's always worth trying that if you are finding yourself having any mic issues. Don't forget, always make sure you have fresh batteries. You guys will need to buy a bunch because one AAA battery only lasts about 4 hours. So make sure you always have plenty of batteries. And if you have any mic problems, it's always the first thing to put in as a brand new battery. If you haven't already, you'll want to hook up your dock for your iPod, which is in the drawer in the white box. So you'll just plug it into the cables that are already up here, which is an audio cable and the charging cable. Make sure these are plugged in tight, especially the audio cable. If it's loose, you'll get a bunch of weird noises through your system, so plug it in. Volume on the iPod when you're playing music typically should be pretty high, not maxed at 100%, but between 75 and 90% is usually a good place to be. You can then always adjust the volume of the system down via the mixer here, of course, from your remote as well. Now going to the microphone, there's a power switch on the mic, which when I turn it on, there's some lights that light up here. The RF meter should always be fully lit, and you generally don't see a whole lot on this unless you're talking into it. Make sure you always have a fresh battery in your mic, because if there's any issues, it's the first thing to replace. They usually only last about 4 hours. So make sure you have plenty of AAA extras. And when you're using your system, always make sure that you have this clear plastic cover on. This helps prevent moisture from getting into the mic, which is the problem that these things always have. So make sure you're using your plastic cover. If you followed all those instructions, you should be up and running with your sound system. If you are still having issues, please refer to the installation manual. There's a troubleshooting guide in here of just some very, very common things which you will run into. That'll be great for you to read through now so you can quickly solve problems on your own. Also, again, make sure to read the mic care instruction guide. Every one of your teachers should, and it's really important for the longevity of your mic. And lastly, if you have any problems beyond that, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Our number is right here and a little sticker on the front of your sound system. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoy it.